Tonight, when the sun goes down, you're going to flip a switch. Light will flood the room and you won't think twice about it. But for 99.9% of human history, that switch didn't exist. When the sun set, the world went dark, and your ancestors sat inside that darkness, wide awake, terrified. The real answer for why is far stranger than monsters or the unknown. You still feel it. A creak in the hallway at 2 a.m. A shadow that seems to move when you're not looking directly at it. Your heart rate spikes before your conscious mind even knows why. That reaction isn't a personality flaw. It isn't irrational. It's a program, and it's hundreds of thousands of years old. Let's go back, not to castles or candlelight. Further than that, back to the open grasslands of East Africa, roughly 2 million years ago. Your ancestors were not the strongest animals on the savannah. They weren't the fastest either. They had no claws, no fangs, no fur thick enough to matter. What they had was daytime vision, a body built for walking and sweating, and a brain that was starting to get dangerously clever. Here's the problem. Nighttime belonged to someone else. Lions hunt largely after dark. So do leopards, hyenas, and a long list of predators that had been perfecting night vision for millions of years before hominins ever stood upright. Anthropologist Donna Hart, who spent years studying predation on early humans, found something the popular imagination usually gets backward. We like to picture our ancestors as hunters. Hart's research suggests they spent an enormous amount of their evolutionary history as prey. Think about what that means. Not occasionally hunted, regularly hunted, consistently, generation after generation, in the dark, when their best sense, vision, simply stopped working. Now here's the twist that reframes everything. Your fear of the dark was never really about darkness. It was about vulnerability. Darkness is just the condition that removes your primary defense. Take away a prey animal's ability to see danger coming, and you get exactly the anxiety response you still carry tonight when you walk to your car alone. Evolutionary psychologists have a term for this. Preparedness theory. It was formalized by psychologist Martin Seligman in the 1970s, and it explains something odd about human fear. We aren't equally afraid of everything dangerous in the modern world. Car accidents kill far more people than snakes do. Yet almost nobody develops a phobia of cars from a single bad experience. Give a person one bad encounter with a snake, though, and a lasting phobia can form instantly. Why the difference? Seligman argued that natural selection didn't leave fear randomly distributed. It preloaded certain fears because those fears kept ancestors alive long enough to reproduce. Snakes, spiders, heights, and darkness show up on that list again and again across cultures, even in people who've never had a bad experience with any of them. You don't have to be bitten to flinch at a snake shape in tall grass. Something older than your personal memory is doing the flinching for you. Darkness earns its spot on that list, honestly. It isn't a threat itself. It's a threat multiplier. It hides the predator, muffles your ability to judge distance, and strips away the early warning system your species relied on for millions of years before language, before fire, before anything resembling safety. And that brings us to fire, because fire changes this story completely. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham has argued that the controlled use of fire, likely beginning somewhere between 1 million and 400,000 years ago, may be one of the most underrated turning points in human evolution. Fire didn't just cook food, which itself allowed for smaller guts and bigger brains. Fire pushed back the night. It created a small circle of visibility and safety inside an otherwise predator-dominated dark. Picture that circle. A ring of orange light. Beyond its edge, nothing your eyes can confirm. Inside it, your group, your kin, the people whose survival was tied to yours. This is where something else was quietly forming, not just physical safety, social safety. Researcher Polly Wiesner, who studied the Jew/Wansisan people of the Kalahari, found that daytime conversation among this hunter-gatherer group was mostly practical. Complaints, coordination, criticism, the business of getting through the day. But nighttime conversation around the fire shifted dramatically. It became storytelling, myth, history, humor. The kind of talk that builds shared identity and cultural memory. Darkness didn't just threaten bodies, it reorganized behavior. It pulled people inward, together, toward light and toward each other. The fear did something productive. It built community. So ask yourself this: when you're lying in bed and your mind starts running through worst-case scenarios, the moment the lights go off, is that a malfunction? Or is it the last visible trace of a survival system that once decided whether your ancestors lived to see morning? Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. This system doesn't know the difference between a hyena outside a cave and an empty apartment with the lights off. It's not built for accuracy. It's built for speed. A false alarm that makes you check the closet costs you a few wasted seconds. A missed real threat could cost you everything. Evolution favored the mechanism that erred on the side of paranoia because the paranoid ancestor was the one who survived to pass that paranoia down. You inherited a smoke detector, not a threat analyst. This is also why children fear the dark more intensely than adults, and why that fear typically peaks between ages 2 and 6. Developmental psychologists have long noted that this is precisely the age when a child's imagination outpaces their ability to reason away uncertainty. They can picture a monster. They can't yet reliably tell themselves it isn't real. Add the ancient predator detection wiring underneath, and you get a fear response that feels, to a small child, exactly as real as it once was to a small hominin crouched near a dying fire. Adults don't lose this wiring. We just get better at overriding it, mostly, which is why, even now in a world with streetlights and locked doors and smartphone flashlights, certain patterns still spike your pulse. A sudden silence, a shape at the edge of vision, the specific, particular dread of a hallway you can't fully see the end of. You are not broken. You are running software written for a species that spent a staggering portion of its existence as something else's dinner option. There's a modern mirror to all of this, and it isn't subtle. Look at what humans still do at night, voluntarily, for entertainment. Horror movies, campfire ghost stories, late-night conversations that feel more honest than anything said at noon. We recreate the ancient conditions on purpose. Controlled darkness, a safe circle of light, whether that's a screen, a fire pit, or a phone glowing under blankets. And then we tell each other stories about the things that might be out there. It's the Sand People's fire circle, replayed with different props. Even the layout of a horror film follows the old logic without anyone consciously designing it that way. Isolate the character. Remove the light. Remove the group. The scariest moment in almost every scary movie is a person, alone, in the dark, cut off from anyone who could help. That's not a coincidence born from clever screenwriting. That's a script your nervous system already knew by heart, long before cinema existed to exploit it. So the next time the lights go out and your chest tightens for no clear reason, you can name what's actually happening. It isn't the dark itself. It's 2 million years of prey animal memory, compressed into a few seconds of unease, checking one last time to make sure nothing is out there. And when the sun sets tonight, remember, that flick of your finger against a light switch isn't a small, modern convenience. It's a truce with the dark that your species only won a few thousand years ago, holding back an anxiety that's been running far, far longer than that.